So good morning. We carry on our journey through journeys, and this week we are thinking about the storms that cross our path and interfere and get in the way with our journeys. And we're going to look at Jesus calming the storm, but I want to recommend to you, if you get a chance, read it in the Storybook Bible. Now, the more I use this, the more I love some of the expressions and everything. And I'm going to try and tell you the story really quickly with some of those asides in that give a real flavour of the story. So here goes. Jesus was tired after helping loads of people, so he went to sleep. And he was on the boat as it sailed across Lake Galilee. And then there was a massive storm. Now, some of the disciples had been professional fishermen, so they would know what to do in a storm. But even they were scared, so it must have been a big storm. After they tried all they knew, they were so afraid that eventually they woke Jesus up, who just speaks and the storm stops. Why? Because the wind and the waves recognized their voice. It was the same voice as they heard when they were made in the very beginning. So Jesus then asked the question, which might sound like he was grumpy because they'd just woken him up. Did you forget who I am? Did you believe your fears rather than me? They were even more afraid with the answer, with the solution. Who is this that even the winds and the waves obey him? Now let's go on a little field trip as we explain what those two fears have to do with us. Let's go. So I think I even amaze myself by how many illustrations I can get in South Bristol. It's definitely the place to hang out. It's where the cool kids are. So here we go. Recently we had a storm, and look at the damage the storm was able to do. Look how tall, you can see by this height of the fence just how big that tree is and the damage to all the branches that have been knocked off. Storms are dangerous. Storms cause real damage and therefore can be the scene for us to have genuine fear. Think about the disciples. They were real fishermen, and yet even they, on a bumpy crossing, were really scared by that storm. And those of us who've lived through the last year of coronavirus will know that to be true. The storms that come across our path in life, they are real dangers. They present real risks. And it's okay for us to feel scared. The trick is to not let them overwhelm us. Now, how do we manage that? Well, that is really quite straightforward. What did the disciples do when they had a fear, a storm that they couldn't overcome? They told Jesus about it. What did Jesus do? He calmed it down. And then what happened for them? Well, an even bigger fear. Now, it turns out for the disciples that second fear was even bigger than the first. But that's because they realized just how powerful Jesus was. And in time, they would learn to discover that rather than be afraid of that, he was going to be the person who they could trust to take their fears away. Great, let's just dip back into the story to see how it wonderfully finishes. So here is how the story ends. Jesus' friends had been so afraid they had only seen the big waves. They had forgotten if Jesus was with them, then they had nothing to be afraid of, no matter how small their boat or how big the storm.